Colleagues, thank to organizers of the forum for the invitation. My speech is about hybrid and military actions of Russian federations at sea, main lessons, cooperative countering and prospects. I hope that my personal experience of participating in warfare in the Black Sea from February 24th to May 30th will help us to understand the situation at sea. Starting my speech, I would like to invite all to join search for answers to the following questions. Why did Russia transited to wartime actions in Ukraine, and were its hybrid actions successful, in particular at sea? How successful was the deterrence of Russia from expansion of aggression at sea? Is it objective to say that Russia could not succeed in implementing its own strategy of limited actions, and its naval strategy turned out to be a loser? How did the character of warfare on the Black Sea change from February 24th, and why did this happen? What are the main conclusions and lessons from conducting military operations at sea, and what determines the prospects and directions of cooperative countering to aggress? As you know, before February, Russia actively conducted hybrid actions at sea, in particular information actions, implementation of diplomatic measures, using military formation without identification marks during occupation of Crimea, illegal stops of civilian vessels, closure of large areas for navigation. Violation of international maritime law, implementation of illegal radio electronic influence, conducting permanent demonstration, provocative and reconnaissance actions. The analysis of these hybrid actions made it possible to determine the following main conclusions and lessons learned. Using hybrid technologies, Russia destabilized the situation and occupied parts of territories and water spaces of 3 Black Sea region states: Moldova, Georgia, Ukraine. After capturing the water spaces, Russia illegally uses the maritime resources of the Black and Azov Seas. By hybrid actions at sea, Russia negatively affects international shipping and maritime security. In order to large-scale violation of human rights in the territories, occupied territories, it is necessary to form and implementing a joint security strategy in the Black Sea region and providing an operation for coercion Russia to peace. As you know, the technology of hybrid war involves achieving the greatest effect by combining informational, economic, political, and other actions with limited military actions. And only if the hybrid actions do not achieve the goal, then, as evidenced by experience of Russian-Ukrainian war, there is a transition to unlimited military actions. Hybrid actions, named in Russia strategy of limited actions, did not succeed. The Russian Federation did not manage to restore control over Ukraine. Thus, during the planning of military actions, military operations in a crisis situation, it is necessary to evaluate of scopes of hybrid and military actions. And we will remember some point when will be a transition from hybrid to military warfare. Now let's analyze the warfare at sea. And analysis of enemy's activities in the first days of war at sea proved that enemy's goal in the Black Sea was ensuring dominance in the northwestern part of Black Sea, blocking the action of Ukrainian task force and seaports of Ukrainian in this area, conducting demonstrative and provocative action and preventing from overturning Ukrainian land forces to areas where the main efforts are concentrated. Creation of favorable conditions for amphibian operations. In the Sea of Azov, the enemy aimed to assistance to the troops in the occupation of Berdyansk and Mariupol, implementation of sea transportation at sea. Analysis of balance of forces shows that as of February 24th, the enemy had a complete and seemingly decisive advantage in the main forces, 1 to 12. Moreover, the enemy had complete dominance, command at sea, and command in air, which is a critical condition for creating command at sea. Round-the-clock rotation in the air of at least 2 or more jets at the line of Cape Tarhankut, Snake Island, ensured constant surveillance, quick detention, and attack of surface targets. To achieve its goal at sea, Russia took the following actions from beginning of the invasion. Provided a constant presence in the northwestern part of Black Sea, maneuvering ships in coastal areas, actions of sabotage groups to our coast, conducting reconnaissance by ships, manned aircraft and unmanned air vehicles. Demonstration actions of surface ships, amphibious task groups, selective strikes by ships and aircraft on military and civilian objects, bridges, ports, civilian ships, attack by surface ships and submarines with the caliber missiles on objects on all territory of Ukraine. After the successful strike on the frigate Essen on April 2nd and its refusal to fulfill its mission and hasty return to Sevastopol, the enemy limited the maneuvering areas of its ships no closer than 80 kilometers from the Ukrainian coast. Missiles cruiser Moskva continued to maneuver in the area between gas platform of the Odessa gas field and Snake Island. From the experience of the Russian-Georgian conflict in the Black Sea in 2008, it was known that the command post of the Naval Task Force commander is traditionally deployed on the cruiser. In addition, being close to the outer border of the war risks area declared by Russia on February 24, the cruiser could simultaneously perform tasks related to the isolation of this area. But we knew that cruiser not ready to anti-air defense. The analysis of this combination of factors and the importance of the destroying the ship, which is the flagship of the fleet and has the name of capital of the state, as an element of moral and psychological influence, determined the priority of this goal among all others. The first attempt to strike the cruiser was on April 4. It was unsuccessful because cruiser placed a favorable position behind the gas platform. However, this experience and analysis of the cruiser's maneuvering was used to create a favorable conditions and successful missile attack on April 13th. The destruction of the cruiser led to a number of significant consequences that decisively affected the change in the situation at sea. In general, as of June 2022, the enemy suffered significant losses in Soviet forces in the Black Sea and Azov Seas, the main of which on the slide. Total 15 ships was destroyed, and total displacements is around 20,000 tons. An important aspect of action at sea was the agreement on the export of grain from 3 Ukrainian ports, Odessa, Chornomorsk, Pivdenny. More than 3 million tons of agricultural products were exported from July to September. In fact, this agreement became one other case of hybrid actions of the Russia at sea. The main conclusions and lessons learned from experience of military operations at sea include the successful conduct of military operation by Ukrainian task force in the northwestern part of the Black Sea disrupted the enemy's command at sea and limited the areas of combat maneuvering of his strike forces to the limits of the coastal waters around Crimea. Thanks to effective organization of the sea coast defense, in particular with the creation and use of mine, missile, artillery positions, with a combination of sea mine barriers, coastal artillery fire, engineering barriers, amphibious operation was prevented, and sharp change in the strategic situation in the war did not happen. Dear colleagues, in conclusion, I want to emphasize we Ukrainians are in the fight. We have already done the impossible, like the destruction of cruiser Moscow, and we will fight at any conditions until the final liberation of our land. Thank you for attention.